So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Jeff Irwin. He's the guitar player. He also plays keyboards and does some backing vocals for the band Will Haven. And Will Haven is a band that's been around, for those of people that you don't know, since like the 1995. They put out, I think it's called El Diablo in 1997, and they're coming out with their seventh album, which is funny. You're putting out your seventh album on July 7th, 777, the three sevens. So yeah.
Yep.
So Jeff, how's everything over there in Sacramento?
It's good. We're starting summer, but it hasn't been too hot, which is nice. Yeah, just enjoying the spring and summer, and getting ready to release a new record and play a bunch of shows hopefully this year, and just enjoy it.
So yeah, this is your follow-up to the album that you put out in 2018. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. We didn't mean to be this long. We
No,
started
obviously,
writing.
we all know what happened.
Yeah, the thing we shouldn't talk about. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we started writing right after we got home from tour in 2019. We got home from tour and we just started working on a new record, and then everything went to hell, and then but it was actually worked out for us because we actually got to take time in the studio, work on the songs, kind of just make them how we wanted to make them. And so it didn't hurt us in all because we didn't have any tours or anything coming up. So, we just got to spend time with the record and have fun with it and do something different. And yeah, it was actually kind of a blessing because I don't know if the record would have been as good if we wouldn't have that time. We maybe rushed it a little bit because we were just stoked to get back out and play again and get our music out. So I don't know, maybe it was a blessing, but yeah, we made the most of it.
yeah, I can tell the people that who will watch this video that it's really fucking good
Oh, thank you. I
because
appreciate that.
I listened to it, and so I something that I like about it, it's an aggressive record, but it also has like atmosphere and layers to it,
Mhm.
and it really different things, elements to it. It's very interesting. And I know there's a song that actually you had put out that it's been out a year, so people have gotten a taste with the first singles that you released. I know the first single was the Wings of Mariposa, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that one it's interesting, and I like how you obviously use Spanish, which I can say perfectly in the song. So that one it's like a shorter, like a 3 minute song, but it's really abrasive and shift changing. So I thought that it's good representation of the album, even though the album goes all over the place. I think the other singles that you guys released, Five of Fire, if I'm not mistaken, and Diablito are really interesting. I watched the music video for both of those songs, and Five of Fire is almost at the beginning of the album, and that one has like an atmospheric uh, dreaminess to it in parts, and then super abrasive. Uh, so what made you when you pick up singles, how do you say, like, because it's not easy picking a single because your sound can be abrasive sometimes, so how did you decide on the singles?
Um, yes, good question. I think for me, I knew this record was a little bit different than our last one, Muerte.
Mhm.
Um, and so I wanted to come out and just show people that we're not putting out the same stuff again. And I wanted to kind of just hit people in the face. And so I thought Wings of Mariposa was a good representation of the whole record, of kind of where it's going with the fast stuff, slow stuff, big stuff. So that was kind of like just a little taste of like, okay, this is what the new record is going to sound like. Five of Fire has always been one of my favorite songs that we wrote for the record, so I figured we would try to get that out before the record come out. And then it seemed like everybody's favorite was Diablito. Everybody we talked to, shown it to, and the guys that are label were like, yes, that needs to be the last single before the record comes out. So it was kind of a cohesive, like everybody kind of had their own little pick of what they wanted. But I think we just wanted to represent the record as when you listen to it. I mean, those three songs are pretty much encapsulate what the whole vibe of the record is. So it's a good representation of the record. but we wanted to come out and just kind of throw haymakers, like just hit people in the face and go, all right, this is kind of like a new direction for Willhaven, or a little different than our last one, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, that I saw the Diablito music video. I didn't understand it. I'm like, I'm like, what the fuck is happening in this video? There's like this guy and this girl, and they're walking, and there's like a devil somewhere. But I'm like, I'm like, I need to ask Jeff, what's going on in that music video?
Well, it's crazy. It was a short film done by our friend Dave, and he had done that just for the video. I haven't really asked him, but the whole meaning behind it, he gets pretty deep with stuff. But I would assume that it's a father and his daughter, and her father passes away, and she is trying to reconnect with her father through memories and through just whatever she can, the universe, to connect with her father. And she finally does at the end, even though I don't think she dies, but she finally was able to mentally connect with him, and they can spend time with together. So it's more of that. It's more of a very like heartfelt girl just trying to reach out to find her father again. I mean, that's the way I perceived it. And but it fits the music really well because it's chaotic. She's frantic. She lost her dad. She doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And at the end, the very beautiful cinematic part, she gets to reunite with her father, and it's like now she feels whole again. So it fit the music perfectly. And I think the devil thing's in there just to represent Diablito, the song, not so much the video, but just people like, oh, okay, I know I get where Diablito comes from. So yeah. it's a beautiful video. Like once you kind of understand, it's a girl just hurting inside.
It's beautifully made, but I was like, I wonder what's happening.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool. I like videos. You're not quite sure what's going on. There's a meaning behind it, but you don't know exactly what's going on, which is that's how Dave is. He's very obscure with kind of stuff, but it's really cool though. I like that. It makes you think a little bit, which is cool.
Oh yeah, it does. And so Diablito, I saw on your Facebook page, are you guys doing like devil masks?
Oh no, it's kind of a reference to El Diablo, our first record, because while we were writing 7, we came up on the anniversary of El Diablo, and that's our first record we put out. So we were kind of throwing little hints in there about our anniversary. We never got to celebrate El Diablo because everything was shut down and everything. So we always kept throwing like little references out there. And Devil Mask was something that was on the cover of El Diablo. So, and actually, Diablito, the song, the lyrics are in fact a love letter to El Diablo, our first record. So all those lyrics reference El Diablo in that song. So that's why it's called Diablito. So the whole campaign is just a reference to our first record, which means a lot to us. So we love that record. I mean, it basically started Willhaven, our career basically. So we always show love to that record. So just kind of a nod to it since we didn't really get to celebrate it as a band, really.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And obviously you guys hail from Sacramento. And Sacramento, obviously there's some big names from Sacramento. Obviously, you guys toured with Deftones back in the day. Do you have like cool stories of those tours back in the 90s that you did with those bands?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, probably the best time of my life was touring with Deftones. Not because they're just an amazing band, but they were our best friends. Going into that tour, we were all really super close, and we were best friends way before Willhaven even started. So to go to see your friend's band like kind of blow up like that, and then they take us out on tour with them, and by then they were playing theaters or smaller clubs and some theaters, so they were still kind of a punk rock thing going on where we were playing clubs and stuff. It wasn't these big arenas that they're playing now, so it was more just had a really cool vibe the whole tour. Like we were playing these little crappy clubs, and like the crowd was insane, and like everybody was so stoked to see Deftones, and we were trying to prove ourselves because no one knew who we were, so we were just trying to kick ass and try to keep up with those guys. So but we would go and party after the shows and go hang out, and it was just fun being with your best friends touring, because we did the US with them, and then right after the US we went to Europe with them. So we were on the road with them for like good 4 or 5 months straight. So
was this when they were touring with Around the Fur, right?
Yeah, Around the Fur.
Yeah, because right 97. Yeah, in the El Diablito 97. Yeah.
Yep, they came out right. They came out, I think, right. We came out, and they came out right after us. So yeah, it was right when Around the Fur came out. So Yeah, we just had a blast, man. Like there was so many crazy stories of hotel rooms getting trashed and parties and getting lost and like, oh yeah, it was a good time. It's funny because I talk to Abe all the time, and we always reminisce about that tour. And he says to me, it's like that was probably one of my favorite tour I ever did. And Deftones was like touring with you guys. So,
They
but
should take
it's
you on
different.
tour again. That would be a kick-ass tour.
Oh, I mean, I get that question more than anything. It's like, come on, you guys need to go out with get on with those guys, and we would love to. Like we would do it in a
You're
heartbeat.
both
But
from Sacramento.
yeah,
Uh, your both your music can be beautiful at times and abrasive. So
yeah,
I would think it would kick ass if you guys
yeah.
would tour.
I would love to. It's unfortunately it's not up to us. It's up to Chino and the
Oh, I
boys.
know.
So
Yeah.
whenever if they get the same vibe that you and I just got, then they're like, yeah, let's do it. So and they have so many friends and bands and like managers and all this stuff. It's they have a lot of business stuff they have to do. Which and back then it's like they didn't have that, so like they just wanted to take out their friends and have a good time. But now it's more of a
Yeah.
business, so it's like I understand, but who knows? Maybe I mean it could happen for sure. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We just haven't really done it.
Yeah. Maybe we're planting a seed here. So
Yeah, we'll put it in the universe for sure.
so yeah, that would be a kick-ass tour. So yeah, it's yeah, I was obviously I knew of your band. I've heard of your band before, and I remember listening to La Muerte, and I've been listening to your older stuff, and yeah, the newer stuff really is a continuation of what you've done. But I think the difference with this album is the use of like atmospheric. It feels haunting, if you will, something about this record that makes it stand out. When you were working on this, like what did you how did you approach this different from your the album that you did before?
You know, I just wanted to kind of be more. My goal initially was trying to make it more riff heavy. Um, we've always been a riffy band, but I think the last Memorte was more atmospheric than, to me, anyways. Like when I look at it, it was more had a different vibe and wasn't as riff heavy, wasn't as metal, I guess you could say. So I wanted to make a more of a metal record, but
Yeah,
include our atmospheric haunting stuff with it. So I just wanted to mesh the two. That was my goal going into it. And so I mean I love the haunting, like chill vibe stuff. I got like to me like our music, I want our music to be cinematic. I want when you hear our music, I want you to think of a movie in your head or something or something like that, some emotion. So I don't want our music just to be music. I want it to be more of a feeling and a vibe. So, I'm still as a songwriter still trying to get to that pinnacle of like when I listen to it, I just want to cry. And there's parts where like the end of Diablito, like I get emotional. Um, but I want every song to be that, so I strive for that. So for me, it's like I wanted to sound like a movie soundtrack, basically, is what I go into a record with. So, but I want it to be listenable and have people be fired up and like ready to hear more of it. So it's a challenge being a songwriter. 'Cause you don't know where you want to go with it. It just kind of ends up where it ends up. But you definitely have some type of vibe in your head that you're going for.
yeah. I have the lyrics for because they also send me the lyrics for the and I'm reading the lyrics for Diablito, and you write some of the lyrics for this album, right?
I did not know. Grady wrote everything. He did. His girlfriend helped with a few things. And then our bass player Adrian helped him out with a few things, but it's not, I would say 90% of it is Grady. Um, but he's always been an amazing lyricist. I mean, he floors me every time I read his lyrics. I'm like, wow, these are really awesome. And how he's able to fit those words into the song still blows my mind. Like, I don't know how he fit that into that part. But
Yeah, no,
his
it's
lyrics, but his lyrics are like a good mirror of my music. Like his lyrics are very emotional, and they're heartfelt, and they're based on him. They're not, some character that's not him. It's what he's feeling and what's inside of him, and it represents the music really well because it's to me his lyrics are like poetry. They're not really lyrics; they're more poetry. When I read them, that's poetry. So
yeah. When
it
I
just
when I read them too, they're kind of hard to decipher. They're beautiful, but there's some lyrics that like where it's going, it has that unpredictability to them,
Yeah,
which
and
makes it,
that's what I love. That's what mirrors our music. Our music's unpredictable, so his lyrics have to
yeah.
be fit that as well. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you can listen to a song and then it can do a complete 180 and you're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, that to me is interesting because the worst thing is to listen to a song and you know, okay, I know, like by the second, like you already know the chorus and it's like,
yeah, yeah,
this isn't pop music.
yeah, yeah. Well,
This is,
that's well, I'm happy you said that because that's exactly what I was going for with this record. Is I wanted a lot of twists and turns. Like I didn't want you to like think, okay, I heard that riff, I'm gonna hear it again, or like, okay, I expect this big chorus and like it drops out all of a sudden. Like I want it to be kind of a roller coaster effect. You're like, okay, oh shit, I didn't expect that. Like that was kind of what I was going for on this record. So I'm glad you said that. That's cool.
yeah, but I think that what make I'm not I don't produce music, I'm just a fan. But when you listen to albums that can be unpredictable, I think it makes it more interesting because this is not like a one-time listen and you love. This is an album that I listened to it a few times
Awesome.
uh to prepare, and I listened to your old stuff, and yes, it's got that unpredictability to it. Like for example, like Avenged Sevenfold, which is a commercial band, but they released an album like a few weeks ago that it's completely unpredictable. That people are like, "Oh, this is too weird," but I'm like, "Yeah, I think that makes it great because there were songs that you didn't know where it was gonna go." And the same with this record. There are some songs there that you don't know where it's gonna go, and yeah, it makes it interesting. And you have some guest vocalists on some of the songs. How was that working with some guest vocalists, and what did you think that they brought to the music of Will Haven?
Yeah, so actually we only had one guest vocalist. We had Reka, Big Feather, or Reka Osborne, Big Feather. He is actually sings for my other side project, Ghost Ride. He's a singer for that band, and he also works at a record label too. And he was in a band called Tin Fed from Sacramento. They toured with Deftones back in the day. But he's just my big brother. I've known Ray forever. He's an amazing musician, like one of the best musicians I've ever met in my life. And I just had this idea for that part. I wanted some melody to go through there, but I wasn't sure. So I sent him the song. I was like, "Hey, can you come up with some melody for this?" And he came up with that, and it was gonna basically kind of be in the background of Grady. But I was like, "Screw it, let's just put it in the forefront and put Grady in the background, just to like make it different, kind of throw a different curveball in there. Because when that part kicks in, you expect Ray to like come screaming, and all of a sudden you hear Ray kind of just crooning over it, which I thought was really cool. So, yeah, it's like one of those guys you can just throw anything at, and he'll come up with something cool, pretty right away. The other singing part on it is me. That's my singing on it. I just threw some
Which
weird effect on it.
which
It's
song
on
was the one that you sang?
Palumbo's Blessing. There's like a breakdown, and then it kind of kicks in the riff, and there's like a kind of a singy part. That's I did that. I just did that for fun. I kind of did it just for a gag, and then we ended up keeping it. So it stayed on the record. But
Yeah, and also in La Última Nota, you have Will Haven fans are playing that. I thought that was interesting. What exactly did they do on the? Is it them like singing?
no, so the last song when it builds up, the very last note that is played by me and about 300 other of our fans. So I just had this idea of
Yeah, because
in this
I
record,
listened to it. I'm like, I wonder what did the fans do?
yeah, it's the very 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 last note. So when it goes boom at the very end, that's the fan part. So um, I just had this idea of like I wanted my friends to play the last note, like guys from Deftones and Far or whatever. Just all my friends I've looked up to, I wanted them to play the last note of the record. But then I figured trying to get everybody on the same page would be a pain in the ass. So I was like, well, it'd be kind of cool if the fans played the last record just so they could be a part of the record. And if this somehow ends up being Will Haven's last record, how cool would it be if the fans play the very last
Yeah,
note
that's what I was gonna
of
ask you
our
because
career?
for people that don't know Spanish, la última nota means the last note.
Yeah. So, but it was referring to the last note of the song, saying that's the
Yeah.
one that our fans played. So, But yeah, it's like, who knows with this, with if William broke up or whatever, the fans would the last note ever played. That thought that was kind of a cool idea. So I just sent an email or a social media post saying, if you want to play on the record, just send me a G sharp note. And you could be on guitar, it could be on a flute, it could be on a piano, whatever you want to do. Just send me a G sharp because that's the last note on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like 300 submissions of people just playing all kinds of instruments. So I ended up piecing it all together and made it into one note, and then we put it on the record. So it turned out really cool. I think it was kind of a cool idea. And if like
Yeah.
if
It's
you
really
did submit,
awesome. Like
yeah, and if you did
someone who
submit,
was there. Yeah.
yeah, if you
So
submitted it, and you're like, oh, that was me. I'm on that record. So
yeah, you could say I'm on the record, just the last note, but I'm on the
yeah,
record.
yeah,
Yeah.
I played on it. Yeah, everybody who submitted it got put in there. So if you submitted something, you're on it.
Yeah. If I had some musical talent, I would have submitted, but I haven't.
Yeah, we just gotta find a G sharp and hit it.
Well, that's very interesting. It's a cool way not just to end the record, but to give back to the fans. Like
Yeah.
have fans like be part of the last note of that song. So other songs on the album, like I know that you don't write the lyrics, but what themes do you explore on this record? I know you named it Seven. Was there a reason just to name it Seven because it's the seventh record, or does it have a meaning to it?
No, I just was the seventh record.
Yeah.
I always liked, for me, I was always intrigued by like Led Zeppelin 2 and
Yeah.
Van Halen 2 or whatever. I always like when bands named their records after a number. So going into this one, I just like, it'd be cool to just do seven because, it's our seventh record. Seven is a pretty well-known number. It's like a lucky number. It also could be a bad number too. So it's like, it just kind of fit the whole juxtaposition of like everything. And the crazy thing was is that we didn't plan to put it out in 2023. It just fell that way because of COVID and everything. Um, but have everything lined up, which is crazy. Like 2023, if you add 2023, it equals seven, and then it's coming out on
I
seven
just
seven.
thought of that.
Yeah, so like everything just kind of lined up perfectly for this, which was rad. But um, yeah, as far as spoiling, I don't know. I Grady's lyrics to me and what he dives into is, I mean, I know the guy personally. I mean, I'm the guy since fifth grade, so I know his life and what he goes through. And so when I read his lyrics, I sometimes have a hard time like understanding, but I do kind of know where he's coming from. Um, that's his personal life. I don't really get into. That's his deal. But when I look at him, I definitely feel a different way because I know what he goes through and what pain he goes through, and he gets that out through his lyrics. And when he screams those lyrics, he's really like feeling it. Like he's not up there just screaming his lyrics. Like he's going there. What he wrote about. He's really gutting it out. So but it's basically it's I write most of the music, he writes all the lyrics, so him and I are just getting out stuff that's inside us. Like when I write a song that's heavy, like I like the tension. I like to get my everything that I hate in life. I just like to get out in the music and make it. It's evil and it's heavy. It's dark. It's like that's the stuff that I when I look at the world, I kind of see that. And and Grady's the same way. He just everything dark that he sees or anything that like. I mean, there's some stuff that here he's more enlightened, but stuff he looks at that he just can't. He needs to get out. In a subliminal way, basically. So I mean, it's kind of me and Grady's journey. With this band. It's just like we're on our own little path and we just complement each other very well.
Yeah, and I've seen performances down low live, and yeah, he's very intense. Plus, he's still rocking that like flannel look to it. Like he's rocking that flannel look because you're describing like a lot of descriptions they describe you like a hardcore band, but I don't see you as a hardcore band. To me, there's more things in Will Haven that pure hardcore. How would
Yeah,
you describe the sound of Will Haven? Because it's not easy to describe.
yeah, it's weird. We started out as a hardcore band. When we
Yes.
started Will Haven, we were touring, like we were playing with all the hardcore '90s hardcore bands in LA and stuff like that. But our sound was kind of based initially off like Neurosis,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of our main influence at the time when I started Will Haven. Um, And so, we as I mean, this is kind of our first band. Everybody in the band is like, I was in a band before Willhaven, but the other guys in the band weren't in another band. We were just kind of just playing around. But this was our first serious band. So when we started Willhaven, we didn't have a really what we wanted to sound like. We just kind of used our influences and made that first record. But as we've gotten older and as time's gone on, we've kind of figured out what we like and what we don't like and what kind of we're aiming for. So I think we're still a work in progress for sure. I don't know what the next record is going to sound like. So
Because I think
I think
you mature as a human being, and that can include musical like taste.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny because there's a lot of I still go back to my '90s influences. Like the newer stuff, there's nothing that influences me now. I can't think of any bands I like go, oh, I love that. I like it to sound like them. Like I still go back to Neurosis and Bad Brains and Sepultura and stuff like that. Those are my main influences. So, but as far as like our overall sound, I think we're still developing, and I wouldn't know what to call it. People ask me like, "What do you guys sound like? What's your genre?" I'm like, I don't know. It's metal, but it's like noise metal, but it's like I don't know. I can't. It's hard
But
for me to describe like what it is. I just say we're just heavy. That's all I
yeah,
can say.
in a way that I think that's good that you can describe it because because you have so many different styles in sound. I think you are a band that can go and tour with different type of bands because of that.
Yeah.
Because you won't be like pigeonholed in you could tour like with Deftones, obviously. I'm just trying to make that happen, but you could tour also with like newer bands or different type of bands, and I think it would mesh well.
Yeah,
uh
I mean, and we have too. We played with everybody. I mean, Deftones, we toured with Slipknot, and we actually played a show with Beastie Boys at one time. Like,
oh wow,
so
that must have been like really fun. When was the Beastie Boys show?
So they was it during the Check Your Head record, they had um did this punk rock thing called Quasar, where it was like they were like punk rock. It was like it was their so before it was Beastie Boys, they were a rap group, they were a punk rock band.
Yeah.
And so they decided to go back to their roots and do like a punk rock tour from their earlier stuff way before Beastie Boys. So they ended up doing like a West Coast tour, and they played in Sacramento, and a friend of ours was doing the show, and he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, I got this band coming through town. I can't tell you who it is, but if you guys would like to open, I'm going to let you guys open the show." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. We're down to play a show." And so he didn't tell me who it was though, and so I
Mhm.
was like, who could it possibly be? I didn't know. And then I think he called me like maybe 2 weeks before the show, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm letting you know it's Beastie Boys." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." So we ended up playing the show with them, and it's funny because where we played, there was no back. There was one room that was the backstage. It was really, and we played at a skate park, and they kind of modified this room into a backstage area. So we had to share it with Beastie Boys. So it was just us and Beastie Boys backstage. Like, so I got to hang out with Mike D, and I skated with MCA and Ad Rock and everybody. It was like the coolest fucking thing because like that was when they were really at their height. Like it was like Check Your Head days. They were huge back then. So just and I was a big fan since License to Ill. So I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh my god, I'm hanging out with the Beastie Boys, but they were awesome and they were so cool. And it was funny because on that tour they didn't even take a bus. They were all driving like they went and they all piled into a van and drove around in a van.
Really old school. Yeah.
Really old school, yeah. And like it was so punk rock, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like but yeah, that was one of my highlights of being in Willhaven, was getting to open up for those guys, and it was cool.
Wow. And you also
Yeah.
tour with Slipknot. That has to have been interesting. What year did you tour with Slipknot?
99. So right when the first record came
So
out.
like when they were like just
Yep.
right off the shelf new.
Yeah, we were playing. We actually got a call. We were actually managed by Gloria Cavalera, who was Max Clever's wife from
Yeah.
Sepultura Soulfly. She was managing us at the time, and she called me at work one day, and she's like, "Hey, Slipknot asked to take you guys on tour, but you got to be in Iowa in like 2 days." I'm like, and for me, I'm like, I didn't know any of the Slipknot guys at all. I have no idea who they were, and so I was like, how the hell do they know who Willhaven is?
Well,
Like,
At that time, nobody knew because that's when they all had the mask.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I didn't know any of the guys. I didn't know how they knew who we were. I had no idea. I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll do it. You know, I was a fan of the first record, so I was like, yeah, we'll definitely go do it. So we ended up driving. We actually missed the first show because we couldn't make it in time. So we met him in St. Louis, and I walk into the venue, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody in the band or any crew, and I'm like, it was just funny because when I got there, I was like, did Slipknot even know we're here? Like, or did we just get pranked or something? Like, so I'm walking, and then all of a sudden, Clown, Sean, walks up, and he's like, "Are you in Willhaven?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, I'm Sean. I'm the Clown." He's all, "I just want to thank you guys for coming on tour with us." I'm like, "Well, I should thank you. I don't know how we got this tour, but I'm honored." And he was like, "Well." He's on me and Joey saw you guys open up for Deftones in Omaha, Nebraska on the Round the Fur tour, and you guys blew us away. And we always said if we ever do our own headlining tour, we want to take you guys out and open it for us. So that's how we got the tour. They just happened to see us on the Deftones tour, just him and Joey. And they kept their word and they took us out and we did 3 weeks of them in the US and it was amazing. Like it's funny because we were playing maybe 500 seat clubs. You know, we were just playing clubs, maybe like House of Blues and, you know, some really smaller clubs in that.
and now
But
they're
they
the
were,
biggest fucking band in the
yeah,
world.
it's
Yeah.
funny because I always think that Will Haven was the wrong band at the wrong time because now that all the bands we toured with back then are now fucking huge. So, but back then we were playing clubs with those guys. So, you know, maybe we missed our mark, but at the same time, I was so grateful to like have that time with them because you know that's when they were hungry. And that's when I think they were at their best. When '99, when they were just trying to prove themselves and they were just
Oh yeah,
so
those
mentally
first
crazy and like
two, those first two albums are
yeah,
brutal.
yeah, and like their stage show back then was way crazy. Like I mean, there were so many times like they should have died on that tour just from their stage show. So like to be a part of that early Slipknot stuff was like it means a lot to me, you know. And some of those guys became some of my best friends, and so like yeah, it was an amazing time. I'm so blessed to be on that spend that time with them on then.
Yeah, but something that your band has had that longevity, which is important too. You know, there most bands. There's a lot of bands from the '90s that just disappeared, but you've had that longevity career, and obviously you are well respected by the peers. So that has to be awesome as well.
Yeah, and I'm amazed that we still are here, you know. I mean, we've had our ups and downs. We broke up once, you know, and got back together and we did that. But I mean, I think it comes down to the guys in the band were all just very close. Like these guys in the band are my best friends, really. Like outside the band, they are my best friends in the world. So, you know, if I ever have a problem or an issue, it's one of the guys in my band when I call. So, you know, that alone I think is a main reason we're still together. And the fans, of course, like if the fans still care about us, we want to put out music for them. But you know, it's the guys in the band. We just have a good time together. We love each other. We
Yeah.
love playing music together. Like we just had a group text today of how much we appreciate each other and how hard we're working and on this record. And you know, it's like it's a family, but it's a very good family. It's very, you know, it's a awesome family. So you know, as long as that stays intact, I think we'll even go on as long as we want to. You know, like even if we don't have any more fans left, I think we would get together and just jam in a room together because we love playing music together. So, I mean, as far as I don't know if Will Haven will ever be out in the public, but Will Haven will always be around, even in a garage. You know, that just because
Yeah,
we hang out. That's all we do is we hang out, we play music, we talk shit. You know, we that's what we do. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's
but
I think that's the main
I
reason.
think fans gravitate to this type of music because it feels like real. It's also in your face, but complex at the time. Plus, the name Will Haven is it's a catchy name. It has something because you're like who the hell is Will Haven?
Yeah.
And and I'm guessing someone had to fuck up the band name once in a while and call you Will Heaven.
Well, initially they thought we were just a guy. And when we opened up for Deftones, they just thought it was going to be one guy with a guitar or something. Like, oh, this guy William's going to open up, and then
Yeah, they
we
would be
come
like,
out, and it's like,
where the hell is Will?
yeah, and then we come out, and we're just this heavy ass band. Everybody's like, oh, okay, that's different, you know. So at first, I didn't like the name at first. But I was like, whatever. It's like we're just starting as a band. Who cares what our
How did
name
you
is?
decide on the
But
name back in the day?
So it was just kind of just circumstance, really. Like I wasn't there at the time, but the story goes that my Grady, our singer, and our friend Sean Lopez, who was actually was in the band called Far, and now he's in the band Crosses with Chino.
Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
name. Yeah,
So
Crosses.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sean was me and Grady's roommate for like 10 years. So Sean's one of my best friends in the world. And so Grady and Sean were at this record store, and we were actually playing that night. I mean, we didn't have a name yet. So we were playing this bar, and Sean and Grady were hanging out at the record store across the street from the bar we were playing at. And I guess they had a conversation at the record store where Sean or Grady had mentioned Will Hagen or something like that. And Sean thought he had said Will Haven. And Sean was like, "Hey man, that's kind of a cool band name, Will Haven. It's kind of like emo, but it's like you guys aren't emo." Or and Grady's like, "Cool." And so they walk back to the venue, and Grady's like, "I got our band name. Like, what is it?" And he's like, "It's Will Haven." I'm like, "Whatever. I don't care. It's a band name. Let's just use it." And then it just became this thing where it's like it just it would just grew into Will Haven, and it was cool. I like it now because it's mysterious, and you don't know what it means, or if it's a guy, or if it's a character that we've been portraying forever. It's like it could be anything. So I actually like the name now, and it does stand out. It's not like a metal
yeah, and I
name or
like it
anything
when
like
you
that.
put it in the videos. You put it like in the letters. They're like they look like typewriter letters when you
Yeah,
put
yeah,
the name
yeah. That's
of
that's kind
the
of our staple font is the typewriter
yeah
font.
the typewriter font. So
Yeah,
I should use that for the thumbnail.
there you go.
I'll make a note. So yeah, let me show the artwork for the seventh album, which is, this is a very like simplistic artwork. You got the number seven, and the background is like gray and black. Why did you decide just to like have like a really simple album cover? But it looks mysterious as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to be simple, and I'm not a guy who's really like showboaty, like I don't like bright colors. I don't like, for me it's like simplicity for me is the best, and it's clean and mysterious. Like for me, I want to be mysterious. I don't like throwing our whole stuff out there, like so for me, when I had the envision, I thought seven, and then I thought the Roman
Yeah,
numerals
Roman
would fit
numerals.
better
Yeah.
than having a seven on there. And then our friend Mike Cobra, our art director guy, he came up, he scratched the V and the I, and I told him what I wanted, and he did that artwork. So I thought he did an awesome job, and it's exactly what I had pictured in my brain. But yeah, I just love simple stuff. And if you like look back at like some of the most iconic records, they are pretty simple. I mean, even look at Metallica's Black record. It's like black with a silver snake, and
And
it's
you
like, but
can
it's like
hardly see that fucking
you
snake.
see that totally, but it's like one of the most iconic records ever. And when you see that record, even though it's black, it's Metallica's record. So, it's just one of those things where it's simplicity is like goes a long way. You don't need to be overboard to like prove a point. You can just keep it simple, and it has a meaning. And plus, with that, we can make shirts and we can make stickers, and you can do a whole kind of bunch of stuff with that. So, um, yeah, for me, it's like I always try to keep it simple, especially in the
Yeah,
artwork. Yeah.
yeah, in the artwork. And obviously, you guys are going on tour. I think on August and July. I have the tour dates, so I'm gonna show the tour dates that you guys are going. But here you have more. See, for the tour date, you put that. I'm guessing it's an evil Virgin Mary.
Yeah. I think our web design people at our label did that. But it fits the vibe. That's kind of always been our vibe is the more kind of mysterious, like, religion kind of thing, where it kind of juxtaposes like the devil, you have the angel. It's like, for us, it's like we are like playing both sides of the card. It's always been our thing for us. But yeah, we're going out in July, and actually we're doing a Carpe Diem anniversary tour on the West Coast. So super stoked about that. That's
Yeah,
going to be a lot of fun.
how many years from Carpe Diem? I think that's the second album, right?
Yeah, third album.
No, the third album. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
we're coming up. That's the 20th, yeah, 20
yeah, I
year
think it
anniversary.
says 2003 here, so that would be like the 20th anniversary, right?
Yeah, 20th. So we actually everybody kind of puts El Diablo and Carpe Diem as our
No,
staples.
actually, Carpe Diem was 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, yeah. So we were okay. That was the plan. We were gonna do an anniversary thing for Carpe Diem, but COVID hit, so we didn't get to do it. But we'd put the word out, so we wanted to, you know, keep it going. And so we did, when we played London last year, we did a Carpe Diem show where we just played Carpe Diem in full in London, and it went awesome. Like the crowd was super stoked. The show was amazing. So people heard about that, and people have been asking us like, do one here, do one here, do one here. So um, it just happened that we had this tour booked where we have most of this tour booked, and our bass player Adrian is actually going to be gone that week. He already had prior engagement, so instead of canceling the tour, I asked our original bass player Mike Martin to come back and play with us for that week of the tour, and he
Well,
agreed.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so he agreed to it, and which is crazy is he quit after our fifth record. He moved to Texas, but he played on Carpe Diem. So I had this brain, this total brain fart where I'm like, hey, let's play Carpe Diem now. We have the original lineup, the Carpe Diem lineup. Let's go out and do this anniversary run and just play Carpe Diem for on the West Coast. So it was kind of an organic thing that would happen, but it worked out, and people are psyched about it, and
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
And
Most of
you're
our
having
shows
your
we
record release party at Harlow's on the 7th of July.
on the
So
seventh.
that's, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's gonna be cool. So it's good that that bass player kept playing, because like I've seen bands like, for example, when Smashing Pumpkins was doing that tour, and people were complaining, oh, they didn't bring Darcy, but apparently she hadn't been playing bass in years. I went to that tour. I wanted to see Darcy, but that's cool that he kept on playing. So now you can take him with you guys
Yeah,
and play that show.
yeah, and like Mike, and like we've always kept it family with Will Haven. And Mike is I've known Mike since he was 12, 13 years old. So he's one of me and Grady's best friends, and so it was kind of a no brainer to call him up and say. And then he's been itching to play music for. I mean, he moved to Texas, so he hasn't been around, um, but he's been itching to go out and play. So he's super excited to go out and play again, and it's going to be like old times. And Mike is an amazing bass player. He's so good. He basically to me is what Will Haven is. He's big. He's mean. He's like just a badass dude. So I'm super stoked to get on stage with him again. Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be a lot of fun.
it's awesome that there's so many bands with so many like lawsuits and bitching at each other. Like I'm looking at you, Motley Crue, like
Yeah,
like, and you guys are just like embrace, like, hey, he played with us and he's gonna play with us again. That's how it should be, instead of like signing contracts and bitching at each other for stupid shit. And you didn't even have to go to therapy. So
yeah, and I think that's why, like I said, that's why we're still a band. That's why we're still together, because like it is more than a band to us. It's our family. So it's a weird thing. Like I feel so blessed to have what we have, because a lot of bands don't have what we have. A lot of bands infight and they sue each other. So they sue each other. Like they can't stand each other's personalities. Like I mean, you see some of the biggest bands in the world can't keep it together because they just clash. Like personalities clash. Like they grew up with each other in a band, but they don't know each other outside the band. So with Will Haven, like these guys are my best friends probably 10, 15 years before I started Will Haven. So, I mean, there's a history with us, and we are a family, and Will Haven is just kind of our hobby that we do together that we totally love. So it's a different vibe. It's weird. I never thought I'd be in a band where, you know, it's more of a
yeah, and
family.
probably if I believe if a band like makes it big too quick, that's where most of the problems happen. When they make it big too quick instead of gradually.
Yeah.
Uh, that's
Yeah.
what seems to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. We never got to that stage where Deftones is at and stuff, but I think the guys in my band would be able to handle it, because we're not rock stars. We're not part. I mean, we party, but we're not stupid. We know our limits. But what's cool about
You're
William
not
is like,
Axl
yeah,
Rose. You're not gonna be like
yeah,
I
totally,
demand my Skittles in this color and all
yeah,
that
totally.
crap.
No, 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 no. What's awesome about this band is when we did party a lot, on tour and stuff, we always made sure that our shows were the priority. Like we go party after the show, but we made sure like we weren't hungover, we were ready to rock the next night and give it our all. So we never showed up. We never showed up on stage drunk, like hungover, high, nothing like that. Like we put that stuff to the side. Like we're here to like rock and kick ass, and and all that stuff will that's just bonus stuff for after the show or whatever. But like our shows have always been top priority for us. So, and now as we get older, it's even more of a focus. Like for
Yeah.
even for the record release show, we're practicing like 3 times a week, and I practice at home every night. So, like we want our show to just be solid, and more so than we've ever been. Like we're on this mission now to just be the tightest band we possibly can and be way better than we were last time. So it's cool. That's why I had to thank the boys today. I'm like, thanks for putting this work, man. Let's make this band
Yeah.
amazing. This is our time.
Should be. I wish I was at Sacramento for that show because it's gonna kick ass. But if you ever tour Puerto Rico, like I'll go to the show.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We'd love to. Yeah, we'd love to go anywhere. It's just, time and money for us is the biggest problem. But I mean, if we have a chance to go somewhere, we'll go. Like we'll try to make it happen for sure.
Yeah. So people, if you haven't listened to Will Haven, obviously they've had records for a long time now, and this new record is dropping on July 7th, and it's through Minus Head Records. They're a cool record label. They represent there's another band from San Francisco called Black Map that I love.
Oh
They're
yeah,
on that record label. Super cool band. I reviewed their last album, but I didn't interview them. But yeah, I like that band a lot. And it's a cool record label that's helping like more of the underground bands, which is always cool. So
yeah.
I'm gonna post the link for people who want to get the vinyl or any other format. Will you have those vinyls like are you gonna have like different colors or more simplistic?
I think they're just going to be black. We haven't talked about doing colored vinyl, even though I would love to. Like our first 3 records, El Diablo, WHN, and Carpe Diem, all had, I think, 500 pressings. They all had their own of a different color. I think El Diablo was red.
It makes sense.
Carpe Diem, yeah, Carpe Diem is silver or clear, and then WHN was white. So if you have one of those, like you've got a gem on your hands. But I love colored vinyl. I like special things. So if we did 7 in a different color, but only ran like 200 of them or something like that, I think that'd be really cool. But the record itself is just plain black, but it looks killer when it's just black. It's like the whole thing is black. Even the label in the middle is black, which is rad.
And you know
But
what? It sounds the same if it's black or it's multicolor.
yeah,
Uh,
but if you're a fan and you have one of those colored vinyls, you're pretty stoked. I have a red El Diablo that I love. Like I've actually framed it. It's so rad. But
oh yeah, like
yeah, I like
if the record is named El Diablo, I think red should be the like it's not gonna be
totally.
pink. You
Yeah,
need
totally.
like a red. Yeah,
I
no,
like to do.
I've started collecting vinyl right at the pandemic, and the last one I got was because I listened to everything. I got the last Foo Fighters one, and it's white. Everything is white about the album because it's paying homage to the drummer that died, and
Yeah.
it makes sense for that album. But yeah, I think people should support artists and obviously catch you guys on tour. So Jeff, it's been great meeting you. You're a super down to earth guy, and I've heard the record, people. The record is really good. So it's gonna come out in just a few weeks. So pre-order that because pre-ordering is good for bands because that helps them get better tours.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've learned that. So anything you would like to say to the fans who watch this video and what to expect from Will Haven?
Well, I mean, first, thank you for your time and showing interest in the band and talking to me. It's awesome. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for the review on the record. Like I said, I've kind of been in the dark for a while and I haven't heard a lot of reviews. So thank you. That
Yeah.
I'm glad,
No, I
happy that
haven't
you enjoyed.
reviewed it yet on the channel, but
Well,
I'll
you gave
review
good
it
words.
when it's close to release date.
You gave good words, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It means a lot for sure because we put a lot of hard work into it. And we love that people actually enjoy it. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. The fans have been amazing. Like, I mean, we're still growing as a band. I still would like to reach a bigger audience, but we've had a hardcore fan base since 1997. And they've been through us through thick and thin, and they totally give us love and support. And I think they're really appreciative that we're still around. Because there's a lot of bands that I loved back in the like early '90s that aren't around anymore, and I'm totally bummed. I wish they put out new records, but they as every band they have drama, they break up and they don't talk to each other anymore. But and it bums me out. So I get it where people are stoked that one of their bands that they Champion are still around, still putting out music. So I just thank all the fans for having our back and support. And you are really the fans of the reason we're still going. Like I said, we jam in our garage as friends, but to put out records and go tour and go play shows, it's all for the fans and people that love hearing our music. And so, I just can't thank people enough. Like, I mean, we're not the biggest band in the world, but I feel like we're the luckiest band in the world for sure.
Yeah, no, that's, I think longevity is very important and loving what you do. And I think that translates in the music. So people get the new Will Haven 7, which is coming out on Minus Head Records. So Jeff, I want to thank you again for taking some time to talk with me. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good